Well, all this razzmatazz behind me is Peugeot's celebration of the new 206. The car, of course, that's the predecessor to the much-loved 205. Will it live up to the 205's reputation? Well, Richard Hammond's been to find out.
Think of a really important job, being in charge of a space mission, captaining an oil tanker, President of the United States of America. And the job facing the designers behind the new 205 was more important than that, to Peugeot at least, because we loved our 205s. Okay, historically, if you look at it, it wasn't actually until the arrival of the GTI versions that we really took it to heart. But when we did, boy did we. It became an obsession. We love our 205. So the 206 was going to be a very important car and quite a crucial task in redesigning it. That makes it all the more remarkable then that Peugeot took the decision to do it in-house. They didn't commission Pininfarina as they had in the past for the 205, for instance. And the result of that is this. And it's immediately obvious that this is no Pininfarina-styled car. Where the 205 was clean, sharp and uncluttered, this is fussy. The front-end treatment, though aggressive and good-looking, it's got a bit of an overbite and a bit of a saggy bottom lip. And all these lumps and bulges over the car, for instance, leading up to the wing mirror, the kicked-out sills and around the rear end. And the rear end particularly, well, if you ask me, I think it's got a bit of a fat bottom. But there are some nice touches around that lumpy, pumpy body. For instance, this, to protect it in a crash. I drove the 1.4 and 1.6 litre petrol versions. The 1.4 was definitely the weaker of the two. In fact, it felt decidedly feeble. There was the mid-range there, but in all honesty, it feels more like a 1.2. The 1.6 was stronger, with again more mid-range. It is an 8-valver, quite a drivable engine and quite useful around town, but certainly not something you'd ever expect to press on with, and certainly not something that is ever going to rev past about 4,500. The interior feels pretty well put together. It's all quite substantial in here. It's certainly not rattly and tinny like some French cars of the past in this class. And in this, the LX version, it's quite highly specified as well. We've got air conditioning, controls for the electric front windows, and a rather natty control behind the steering wheel for controlling your stereo volume and channel. But, and it is quite a big but, and I don't understand this, the whole thing appears to be afflicted with some unfortunate skin complaint. It's got this flaky, crinkle, knobbly finish. It goes everywhere, on the steering wheel, on the steering column, and I don't like it. It's like sitting on an elephant. It's like elephant skin. Why? The 205 was the epitome of French motoring. That kind of charming but unassuming, rugged utilitarianism, almost an agricultural prospect. And this doesn't have any of that. It's a much more finished car. It is a bigger car. It feels bigger, and it actually is bigger. It's quite a lot heavier as well, so over the bumps the suspension will iron out and soak up a lot more of the indentations and bumps in the road. It feels like you are driving a car a class larger. The engines are available. There's a 1.1, a 1.4 and a 1.6 petrol, and this, the diesel. All the petrol engines are pretty unassuming, pretty unremarkable. They're 8-valve, there's no multi-valve configurations, there's nothing particularly exciting about them. That said, there's nothing wrong with them, but you certainly aren't going to leap out of the 1.4 and imagine, great, here's something really special. There's plenty of mid-range torque, as you'd expect from the small capacity 8-valve petrol engine. The diesel, as you'd expect from Peugeot, is quite a reasonable thing, but again, nothing desperately exciting. In all, though some may bill it as the replacement for the 205, that's not particularly fair. The 206 is a very different car. It's bigger, it's more refined, and in marketing speak, it's a more mature product. But then, if you look at the Peugeot range, it's a very different thing from what it was when the 205 was first brought out all those years ago. It's not a bad car, but it's never going to be as exciting and as full of flair as the 205. But then, life isn't anymore, is it?